Kai had never known a world beyond the hill where he lived with his father, Elias. At 15 years old, he had never stepped inside a school, never had classmates, and never even questioned the simplicity of his life. His days were predictable. Wake with the sunrise, swing his axe alongside his father, carry heavy branches down the hillside, and return to their small wooden hut. The crackling of the fire at night was their only comfort against the cold, and the whispering wind through the trees their only company. Elias, though hardened by years of labor, often found himself staring at the distant city beyond the valley, wondering if his son's life would mirror his own. The same calloused hands, the same aching back, the same endless cycle of chopping and caring, eating and sleeping. It had been enough for him, but should it be enough for Kai? One evening, as they sat outside their hut, Elias pointed toward the red-roofed school far below the hill. "Kai," he said, "tomorrow you will go there." Kai blinked. The idea seemed absurd. "Why?" he asked. Elias sighed, rubbing his worn hands together. "Because there's more to life than this." Kai frowned. More. The rhythm of his days had never felt lacking. The trees did not seek more than to grow. The rivers did not ask where they were going. Why should he? But his father's expression left no room for argument. The next morning, Kai woke earlier than usual. His father had prepared a small bundle of food and a rough linen shirt for him. The air was crisp, and the sky was painted with hues of pink and gold as the sun crept over the horizon. Elias stood at the door of their hut, arms crossed, watching his son prepare for something neither of them fully understood. Kai hesitated. "Do I have to go?" Elias nodded. "You owe yourself the chance to see what else is out there." So Kai went. The journey down the hill was unfamiliar. He passed trees he had never paid attention to, fields he had never stepped foot in. The distant city below looked almost like another world, a place where people wore different clothes, spoke of different things, and seemed to move at a pace far quicker than the rhythm of the axe against wood. The school was loud. The moment Kai stepped inside, he felt the weight of 100 eyes on him. Children in clean, pressed uniforms chatted, laughed, and rushed past him, their worlds full of lessons and ambitions he had never considered. Kai felt small. The classroom was unlike anything he had ever seen. Wooden desks arranged neatly in rows, a large blackboard covered in elegant writing, and a teacher who stood tall, dressed in fine clothes. "Everyone must introduce themselves," the teacher announced, "and tell the class what their ambition is." One by one, the students stood. Some wanted to be doctors, others wanted to be engineers, travelers, merchants, or scholars. The room was filled with dreams, all stretching toward distant futures. Then it was Kai's turn. The teacher looked at him expectantly. "What is your ambition, Kai?" Silence. Kai had never heard the word ambition before. He thought of his father's words, of the way the axe felt in his hands, of the rhythm of the trees swaying in the wind. "I don't know," he said honestly. The class erupted in whispers. A few students chuckled. The teacher frowned. "Everyone must have an ambition," he said. "Without it, you have no direction." Kai lowered his gaze. "But why must I walk towards something just because others do?" That night, Kai returned home to find Elias sharpening his axe outside the hut. The firelight flickered against his father's face, casting long shadows across the ground. Elias looked up. "How was it?" Kai hesitated. "They say I need a goal." Elias continued sharpening his axe. "And what do you think?" Kai sat down beside him. I think they're all chasing something. Like they're running toward a place they've never seen, but they don't know if it's worth it." Elias nodded slowly. "And do you feel like running?" Kai thought for a long time. "I don't know." His father placed the axe down. "There are two kinds of people in this world, Kai. Those who feel lost without a destination, and those who feel free without one. The question is, which one are you?" Kai stared into the fire, the flames flickering like unanswered questions in his mind. The next morning, Kai did not return to school. Instead, he walked to the highest point of the hill, where he could see both worlds, the vast forest behind him and the distant city ahead. His father's words echoed in his mind. Lost or free? He thought of the students in the classroom, their faces full of determination. He thought of the ambition they carried, the certainty they had that life was about moving forward. But he also thought of the trees. The trees did not question where they stood. They simply grew, rooted in place, reaching toward the sky. Kai closed his eyes. He had a choice. For the first time, he realized that not choosing was also a choice. And so he stood there, between the forest and the city, between a future of ambition and a present of contentment. Elias stood outside their hut, watching as Kai returned from the hilltop. The boy's face was unreadable. "Did you find your answer?" Elias asked. Kai looked at his father. His hands, though still young, already bore the calluses of a woodcutter. His mind, though uncertain, was filled with possibilities. "I don't know if I need one," he said. Elias nodded slowly, as if expecting the response. "Then what will you do?" Kai turned toward the hill, looking out at the two worlds before him. "I think I will stay for now, but maybe one day I will go." Elias said nothing, only watching as Kai picked up his axe and walked toward the trees, his movements steady and familiar. The boy did not seem lost. He did not seem trapped. But was he free? Or was he simply choosing not to choose?